Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Explosive Colonization. This is now episode 9. So what we have at the beginning of this episode, we are on Eve at the moment. And we are out by our gliding lander, which is part of the Kines mod. And we're just recovering some of the parts and things from that. I was just using this little rover, again part of the Buffalo Exploration mod from Angel 120. And I'm using this as a bit of a ferry for different parts. Now a lot of this episode is this base. I've been trying to keep it going and essentially get it to the part where it's self-sufficient. Now part of what I did was I didn't have a plan for this base. I just wanted to get a base down. I don't know how to get people back off the ground yet. I haven't figured that part out, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just dropping another probe into the atmosphere out of the ones that I have left. A little bit more of an aggressive re-entry this time, so essentially burning off more delta V in orbit, so I have less fuel. And then essentially I was gliding and looking for a little spot, because gliding is very easy on Eve, especially at lower altitudes. You have a much denser atmosphere to work with, so it's easier to get sort of aerodynamic stability. So taking a bit of science and then looking for a nice little spot, landing a bit too hard and losing the nose cone, but still we have our antenna attacked, we have our battery and our science equipment. So just parking the brakes down and leaving that there. A bit of an orbital readjustment, because when I was landing there was one of these that I landed that I didn't show, one of the planes, and I lost it. So a bit of an orbital readjustment on my satellites. And then we get an alarm, and here we are back at the scrap heap station because we have finished building something. So this is my Hammerhead ship. Now this is a life support ship. It is built entirely to carry food specifically around about the solar system. Food is one of the few things that is quite difficult for me to create. I'm having a bit of a problem with it on Eve. Hopefully that will be sorted. But I designed this just to move food about the system, and if required to be able to ferry people around about as well by putting them in cryostasis. So this is built primarily from the DSEV mod. The solar panels are near future electrics. On the back of it you have the heat technologies, again from NEAR-T, not part of the near future, but it works with it. The reactor on the back is the same from near future electrics. And now we have just a little checkup of our Minmus base. This is Tent City. As you can see, it's been expanded. I've showed this before. And basically, I'm still having problems with TAC life support not updating, so I'm having to jump around an awful lot. This entire episode is actually only 2 days worth. What I'm doing here on Eve, again, is I'm just building up things. I'm moving them about. Now I've got a bit of a problem that I'm running out of electricity during the night. So because of TAC life support, I don't want to lose anybody. So what I'm doing is I am building some RTGs. It's a little bit cheaty because they don't require the nuclear material, but so that it works. But they're that big and that heavy that you can only really move them in a box. So shoving them into a box, dragging them about, then obviously take the box off, put something in the box, put the box back on, etc, 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 just like loading a rucksack. Now I'm still having a bit of a problem with this. This isn't encompassing everything I need to do. I want to expand the base and I need a lot more electricity, and my main problem is I'm losing it at night. I don't have enough battery storage. The bigger the battery storage, the more issues I've got, so I'm looking at other methods of doing it, which will come up in a bit. So here we have the liquid fuel, the liquid hydrogen freighter, and I'm sending this out to Minmus. I've got a bit of a problem with one of the ships that I put in orbit. that I built at the scrap heap station, and I can't land it. So I'm just sending this out there to top it up with a little bit of fuel. Not to fill it, because the ship in question is my actual transport ship for the liquid hydrogen to bring it from the surface up to the ships. But I'm a bit scuppered, so I don't really know what I'm doing, and I figured that was a good idea. Now we're adding a few more drills because I want to bring up as much, I want to get as much life support on this base as possible. Now it has a year. I keep getting life support warnings, and if you can see on the right sidebar, I've got a warning for it there. But I do have a year's worth of life support for all the people on the planet. I just need more because I don't know when I'm going to be able to get them off of it. So there I'm just adding some framework in to build a bit more of a power station on the side of this. And there you can see me just figuring out what is the best to try and work around about the fact that my life support's sort of not producing as much as I would like. I really wish the calculators would show how much you can create over a long term. But here we go, we're doing this again. As you can see, I'm starting to shove RTGs absolutely everywhere. But for some weird reason, the amount that it says that the RTGs generate is not what I'm actually getting. So if I'm at minus 20, it's not, putting one on that generates 20 isn't creating enough. I don't quite know what's going on there, but I think it's something to do with TAC. However, we're back out at this base now. We're back out at this lander, sorry. Now this is a bit of a run out here, so it's caused me a bit of a problem, but I need some more solar. So grab a solar panel from there, one of the sombrero solar panels. Again, part of the DSCV mod. I think that's part of the actual Pathfinder mod, that solar panel. And I decide that I need to get this back. So a few little runs with some ladders and some wheels to try and make this drivable. But obviously the entrance point for this is on the ceiling, on the roof. And I completely forgot about the idea that I might actually have to do this. So I've put a pipe connector on the front, and I try and turn this into a buggy, but it's not brilliantly working. Obviously just pulling the wheels off of one of my other buggies and attaching them. But it starts rolling and I can't get in. Obviously it's not got any drone controls on it. So after an hour I decide to bring out the other buggy and link them up with a pipe, which took a long time. And they're not even straight because it was a pain trying to do anything with them. But I managed to drive them back to the base like this. And then get in a place where I can hook them up. So the idea being that now I've got access to it, and I also get the life support out of the lander, which is a little bit of an extra, not entirely required, but it'll do the job. So using one of the ends there because it's got the pipe connections, I'm taking off the wheels and unclipping it. And there we go, this will stop it rolling away. Adding a pipe connection, connecting something and something explodes. It keeps happening a lot with the landing gear. And then I'm taking out the little drills that are in there. And that was just me trying to get some more equipment for assembling things. So I was just pulling stuff I didn't need out of the container, putting it onto the ground and then recycling it, and the Pathfinder mod turns it into equipment. So a little bit of extending of the base. These little pods have solar panels on them, so as much power as possible during the day. So I create a bit of extension here. And there's a fair bit of expansion going on. But then I need to drill. And especially I need to do it more efficiently. So we start adding big drills. Now I can't really move these, but I can lift them to actually attach them. So I create this little rig so that I can set them up and use them. And it manages to break the connections, which happens an awful lot with the stuff that I build. I wish they'd make that joint connection a lot more severe. And then one more warning and we're out to Minmus. So we have now managed to land, or bring the LH2 freighter into orbit and connect the lander to it. And this is where I notice that the lander actually requires oxidizer, which I knew, but I did not realise that I hadn't set up the LH2 freighter for any oxidizer. So that requires a bit more thought. And then here we're just moving the hammerhead back down to Kerbal, where it's going to pick up crew. I took one crew off of the station, off the scrap heap station, and this is just heading down to Kerbal, and it's going to pick up a full crew, and from there head out for its next adventure. Now we are back down at the liquid hydrogen base, and now this has been a bit of an odd base. I've had a few different things going on, and I've created a few landers. And essentially, I basically forgot something halfway through, and I made both of these bases for doing everything as opposed to doing a specific thing and sort of limiting what's there. So I've created this little base that you can see, which is, it's just been built by extra planetary launch pads, and it's a bit more self-contained. As you can see, it's got the liquid hydrogen and things on it. It's also got some thrusters. And the idea being that I get it set up for mining, and once it's ready I'm actually just going to plonk it down and use it to mine nothing but liquid hydrogen. The problem being I don't have the power to actually start it because of the way that EPL works on the ground. So I add in that little power module and plug it into it. It requires a bit more effort because I haven't quite thought out that power module when I was bringing it up here for the main base. But we attach it using the new Kerbal attachment system, which just keeps breaking on me, so I've actually gone back to the old one since I did this. But with a bit of power we managed to create some ability to get some water and do some mining. And one of the things this can do is mine ore and turn it into uranium for the generator. Once we do that, because I'm getting a bit of a slow frame rate, I start pulling out different rockets. So this is one of my rockets for rocket parts, and I decide to get this out of the way. It's full of rocket parts, it's ready to go, as you can see on the right hand side. I think it's full. I'm not sure if it's full or half full. I can't see in this window. But we actually send it first up to the LH2 freighter because I realised that this has got a good amount of delta V. And one of the things I can do with it is actually transfer over some of the oxidizer, which will allow me to land the liquid hydrogen freighter. Now I cut out a lot of it because this thing is just absolutely whorish to fly. It's not working really well. I seem to get a lot of problems with wobble on the heavier craft, basically because I'm making heavier craft and the guidance systems just can't cope with it. But I transfer a bit, once it gets docked, to transfer a bit of the oxidizer over, keeping an eye on how much I'm using. And then we undock the ships and get them ready for basically for landing. Now I don't need much to get this thing landed. It's got a good amount of delta V once it's empty, so I'm just sort of balancing it with the bare amount to get it on the floor, because the entire point is it's fueled from the ground and gets up to orbit. But that's what we do. I'll leave them all docked for the moment, jump back down and check on the systems over here. And I do a bit of recycling because this is one of the old landers. So I recycle this and I managed to pull a few bits and pieces off of it. And then because I need a bit more life support here, I recycle this life support modules to get us some of the extra life support. And that's us for the moment. That was a ridiculously long amount of time, so thank you for watching. I know there was a lot of ground stuff this time, but hopefully there'll be more explosions next time, and I'll see you there.